Evan's ship broke through the thick silver clouds of the alien moon. Lightning flashed around the hull as the engines screamed in protest. The navigation system blinked red. His display read one word: critical failure. He gripped the controls, fighting to land safely. The surface below shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the storm above. He had read warnings about this place. Locals called it the Moon of Echoes, a land no one dared to visit. They said a woman lived here, not human, not spirit. Something in between. Evan didn't believe in ghost stories, but he was about to. His ship crashed through the fog and landed hard in a barren field. Sparks flew. Steam rose from the panels. He sat still, breathing heavily, feeling his heart pound. The storm outside had quieted, leaving behind an unnatural silence. He unbuckled his harness and stepped out. The air was heavy but breathable. His boots sank slightly into soft dust that glowed faintly under his feet. Everything looked alive, and even the ground. Strange whispers floated through the mist, though there was no wind. "Hello?" he called out. His voice echoed, then split into two, like something else was repeating it deeper in the fog. He turned on his wrist light. The beam caught broken stones ahead, what looked like ruins of a temple. Tall arches bent inward as if gravity pulled them toward the ground. Ancient symbols glowed faintly on their surface. Evan felt drawn to them. He walked toward the temple, scanning the area with his scanner. The radar showed nothing alive, but every few seconds the screen flickered with a pulse like a heartbeat. Inside the temple, the air changed. The fog thickened, silver and soft like silk. His footsteps echoed across the cold floor. The carvings on the wall told stories he couldn't read. Figures of tall beings, faces hidden behind veils, standing beside humans. One carving showed a man reaching out to a glowing woman. The next showed him turning into light. Evan frowned. "What the hell happened here?" he whispered. That's when he felt it. A breath behind him. Slow, calm, almost curious. He spun around, light raised. There was nothing, just mist. But then what movement? A faint glow deep in the haze. The glow shaped into a silhouette. Tall, graceful, and clearly female. Evan froze. She stepped closer, the mist curling around her like it belonged to her. He could barely see her face, only the shape of her eyes. Large, bright, almost silver blue. Her skin shimmered faintly as if reflecting starlight. Her voice came soft and trembling. "You should not be here, human," Evan swallowed. "I didn't mean to crash. I just need shelter until morning." The woman tilted her head slightly. "Shelter?" Her tone was calm but carried a sadness like she hadn't spoken in a long time. "You are far from safety." He nodded slowly. "Then maybe you can tell me where safety is." For a moment she said nothing. Then she stepped closer. The light around her body pulsed faintly with each step. Her eyes studied him. There was no hatred in them and only a deep, endless loneliness. "You do not fear me?" she asked. Evan hesitated. "Should I?" She smiled weakly. "Everyone does." Lightning flashed again outside the temple, revealing her full outline. She was not wearing metal armor or fabric. Her skin itself seemed to shift like flowing silver cloth. "Who are you?" Evan asked softly. The woman's lips parted. "Lyra," she said. "Once a guardian of this world. Now it's prisoner." Evan frowned. "Prisoner of what?" Lyra looked away. The air trembled as if the moon itself reacted to her pain. "Of my own kind. And of your kind." Before he could ask more, the mist around them stirred. A soft hum filled the room like a song sung by the walls. Lyra's eyes widened. She turned sharply toward the entrance. "They have sensed you," she whispered. "You must hide." Evan's heart raced. "Who sensed me?" She turned back to him, her voice urgent yet gentle. "If they find a human here, you will not leave alive." Without waiting for his answer, she waved her hand. The light bent around him, forming a thin barrier that cloaked him in shimmering air. He felt invisible and unseen, yet fully exposed. The temple darkened. Shadows moved in the fog outside. Figures with glowing eyes appeared at the doorway but did not step in. They looked confused, as if searching for something they couldn't see. Lyra stood tall and silent, her hands glowing faintly. The figures retreated slowly into the mist. When they were gone, she sighed in relief. Then she looked at him again, sadness filling her gaze. "You should go," she whispered. "No human should see what you've seen." Evan took a small step toward her. "Then tell me why I shouldn't." Her light flickered faintly. "Because if you stay long enough, I may not let you go." Evan felt a chill run through him. Her tone wasn't threatening, and it was aching, desperate. Like a warning born from love and sorrow mixed together. He didn't answer. He just looked at her. The glowing woman standing alone in the ruins, surrounded by fog and silence. Lyra looked back at him for a long moment. Then, with a soft voice that trembled through the air, she asked, "Will you stay if I undress, human?" The question froze him completely. The world around him fell silent. The mist stopped moving. The faint hum of the temple vanished. And in that stillness, his heart made a sound, the first beat of something that would change both their lives forever. Evan stood frozen in the silver mist. The question still echoed in his head. He did not know if it was a test or a warning. The alien woman's voice had been soft but heavy, like she carried centuries of sorrow. Lyra turned away and walked deeper into the ruins. Her bare feet left glowing footprints on the stone floor. The mist followed her like a living thing. Evan followed quietly, drawn by something he could not explain. The temple opened into a large chamber filled with pillars and floating crystals. They glowed in rhythm with Lyra's heartbeat. It looked less like a ruin and more like a living memory. Lyra stopped at the center and touched one of the crystals. A faint hum filled the air. Her form flickered, and for a brief second Evan saw her true shape reflected on the stone floor. She was both human and not. Her body shimmered like liquid light, her eyes like twin stars. It was beautiful and frightening at the same time. Evan took a careful step forward. "Why are you hiding?" he asked. Lyra turned to him slowly. "Because my truth is forbidden," she said in a calm voice. "And those who learn it are never allowed to leave." Evan frowned. "You mean your people?" Lyra nodded. "They were once guardians between worlds. We kept peace between humans and other species long before your kind even reached the stars. But then one of us broke the law. She loved a human." Evan listened silently. Lyra's voice grew softer as she spoke. "For that love, our people were punished. The curse fell on every daughter of our blood. Anyone who looked upon our true form would either die or be bound to us until the end of their life." Evan felt a chill run down his back. "That's just a story," he said. "It can't be real." Lyra smiled faintly, a sad kind of smile. "You humans always think that until the story takes you." She walked toward a broken statue standing near the wall. It looked like her. Same face, same calm eyes. But the statue's arms were chained. "That was me," she whispered. "They made me the guardian of this temple. I was told to watch, to wait, and to never touch another soul." Evan looked around. The place was quiet, yet full of whispers. It felt like thousands of eyes were watching him through the mist. "How long have you been here?" he asked. Lyra didn't answer right away. Her eyes lifted to the ceiling where faint light shone through cracks. "I stopped counting after the first century." Evan stepped closer. "That's impossible." She looked at him again, her face unreadable. "Time moves differently here. My prison is alive. It feeds on loneliness. It wants me to stay here forever." Her voice trembled slightly on the last word. Evan saw her hands shaking. She tried to hide it, but she couldn't. The loneliness in her eyes was stronger than any curse. He wanted to reach out, but stopped himself. "There must be a way to break it," he said. Lyra shook her head slowly. "If there was, I would have found it long ago. The curse can only end if someone dares to see me as I am." Evan's heart beat faster. He understood what she meant. That was why she had asked that strange question. It wasn't about temptation. It was about freedom. Lyra stepped closer to him, her light glowing warmer. "Every human who came here ran away when I asked that question. They feared what they would see." Evan's throat went dry. "And if someone stays?" Lyra's eyes met his. "Then the curse will take them. Their life will no longer belong to them. It will belong to me." The air grew still. The crystals around them dimmed. Evan felt the weight of her words, but he didn't move away. Lyra noticed. Her expression softened. "You don't fear me?" she asked quietly. Evan's voice was steady. "Maybe I should. But I don't." Something inside her broke at that moment. The mist shimmered brighter. Her hand reached out, trembling, almost touching his face, but stopping just short. "You should," she whispered. "Because once I begin to hope again, I might never let you go." Her words carried both danger and longing. The moment hung heavy between them. Outside, thunder rolled across the silver sky. The temple lights flickered. Somewhere deep within the ruins, a new sound began, a low hum that grew louder every second. Lyra's eyes widened. They know you're here, she said. The Watchers are coming. Evan looked toward the temple gate. The fog outside was moving like a living wall. Shapes began forming in it, tall, shadowed, and glowing. He turned back to Lyra. Then I'm not leaving you here. For the first time in centuries, Lyra smiled. A real human smile. You already can't, she said softly. The light around them grew stronger, wrapping both of them in a shimmering haze as the shadows closed in. The forbidden bond had already begun. The air shook as the Watchers' shapes moved closer. Their glowing forms floated just beyond the temple's broken gate. Evan could feel the energy vibrating in the ground. Lyra stood between him and the entrance, her eyes burning with silver fire. They will destroy you if they find you, she said. You must hide again. Evan shook his head. I'm not running this time. Lyra looked at him surprised. The mist around her swirled faster, alive with emotion. You don't understand what you are facing, she whispered. They don't forgive humans. They don't forgive me. He took a step toward her. Then tell me why. Tell me what really happened. Lyra's gaze dropped to the floor. The crystals on the walls dimmed as if the temple itself was listening. Long ago, before humans reached the stars, my kind walked among them. We shared knowledge, helped them grow. But one of my ancestors broke our sacred law. She fell in love with a human soldier who saved her life during a storm. Their love united two worlds, but it also terrified the elders. Evan listened quietly. Her tone was soft but steady, like she had carried the story for centuries. The elders said our emotions were a weakness. They declared that no guardian would ever love again. They cursed us. Now if any human looks upon our true form, the bond ties their soul to ours forever. The human becomes part of our essence, unable to leave or survive apart. Evan frowned. So that's the curse? Love turned into a prison? Lyra nodded slowly. It was meant to protect both sides, but it became a punishment. Every guardian who dared to feel was sealed in their temple, forced to guard the veil between worlds. That is why I am here. I was chosen because I once pitied a human, and pity to the elders is the first seed of love. Her voice trembled slightly, but she kept her calm. Evan stepped closer. You pitied someone? Who? Lyra looked into the mist. A traveler like you. He was wounded, lost, frightened. I gave him warmth. When I touched his hand, he saw my true form. He smiled at me. And then, before I could stop it, the curse took him. His body turned to light. His soul merged with mine. That light still lives here. It never left. Evan's chest felt tight. You've been alone ever since, Lyra nodded. I can still hear his voice in the echoes of this place. It keeps me awake when I try to sleep. The air grew still again. The Watcher's presence faded slowly, as if the story itself calmed the temple. Evan looked at her glowing skin, at the way her light softened when she spoke. Maybe the curse isn't about punishment, he said. Maybe it's about connection. Lyra looked confused. Connection? He nodded. You said his light still lives here. That doesn't sound like death. It sounds like a bond that never broke. Lyra's expression changed. Hope flickered in her eyes for the first time in centuries. No one has ever said that to me before, she said quietly. Evan took another step. You're not a monster, Lyra. You were punished for something beautiful. Her hand trembled again. You speak as if you understand, she said softly. Maybe I do, Evan replied. Because I know what it's like to be alone. The words struck her deeply. She looked at him for a long moment, her glowing eyes full of something she had long forgotten. Trust. The mist around them glowed brighter, responding to her emotion. The floor beneath them began to hum like the heartbeat of the world. The energy between them was no longer fear, but recognition. Lyra reached out, her fingers inches from his chest. If you see me, if I show you my true self, there is no turning back, she said. You will belong to me and I to you. Evan's voice was calm. Then show me. Her breath caught. The air trembled. You would risk your life for a creature cursed by her own people? I don't see a creature, he said. I see someone who's been waiting too long to be seen. The silence that followed was heavy and warm. Lyra closed her eyes. The light around her body grew stronger, brighter than before. The mist started to melt away, and then slowly, the veil that covered her form began to fade. The silver light flowed like water from her skin, revealing her shape beneath, glowing lines, veins of energy, soft curves made of living light. She looked almost human, yet far more radiant. Evan didn't move. He didn't speak. He only watched. Lyra opened her eyes and they shone like two distant suns. "Now you see me," she whispered. "And now your fate is tied to mine." The world around them pulsed once, then went silent. The bond had begun. The temple trembled as if it had taken a breath. The light from Lyra's body filled every corner, washing over the walls and the mist outside. Evan had to shield his eyes for a moment. When he looked again, he saw her standing there, bare of every illusion, her true form uncovered. She was neither flesh nor metal. She was pure energy, shaped like a woman but glowing with life itself. Evan's heart raced, but not from fear. Her beauty was not something to desire. It was something to respect. Something that made him forget the meaning of distance. Lyra watched him closely. "You should not have looked," she said. "You cannot leave now. The bond has begun." Her voice shook slightly, though she tried to sound calm. Evan stepped closer. "Then I stay," he said. Lyra's eyes widened. "You don't understand. This bond takes your breath, your years, your heart. It links them with mine. What I feel, you will feel. If I die, you die too." Evan smiled faintly. "Then you better not die." For a moment, Lyra forgot to breathe. No one had ever answered her curse with humor before. The temple seemed to hum differently now, lighter, like it approved. But the peace did not last. The ground vibrated again. The watchers had returned, drawn by the light. Shadows appeared at the gate, whispering in voices older than time. Their words echoed inside Lyra's mind. "You broke the law. You revealed your form to a human. You must be erased." Lyra's light dimmed with fear. "They have come for you," she said. Evan turned toward the entrance. "Then let them come." Lyra moved in front of him, her hands raised. The air around them rippled. "You cannot fight them. They are made of the same energy that binds me. They will destroy both of us." Evan looked at her glowing face. "You saved me once. Let me save you this time." Lyra's lips trembled. She wanted to protest, but something in his voice stopped her. For the first time, she realized he was not like the others who had come before. He wasn't curious or greedy. He was simply brave. The watchers stepped through the gate. They floated silently, faceless, their light cold and sharp. The tallest one raised a hand. "Lyra of the Veil, you have broken the vow of the Guardians. Your bond with the human must end. His life will be taken and yours will be sealed once more." Evan stepped forward. "If you want her, you'll have to go through me." The watcher's light pulsed with irritation. Lyra tried to pull him back. "Please, Evan, you can't fight them. You're only human." He looked at her and said quietly, "Maybe being human is exactly what they need to see." The watchers attacked first. Beams of light shot across the chamber. Evan rolled aside as the energy struck the stone, shattering it into dust. Lyra spread her arms, forming a shield of light around him. The collision sent a shockwave that cracked the floor beneath them. Evan could feel her energy draining. The shield flickered, dimming each time she deflected a blow. He grabbed a fallen crystal from the ground, one that pulsed with the same energy as Lyra's body. Without thinking, he pressed it to his chest. The crystal sank into his skin, glowing through his veins. Lyra gasped. "What have you done?" Evan gritted his teeth as light surged through him. "I'm helping." The temple reacted instantly. The bond between them deepened. Lyra's power flowed into him and his human heart stabilized it. Together they glowed brighter than the watchers. The attackers stepped back, confused by the merge of human and guardian energy. Lyra felt his presence inside her mind now, his thoughts mixing with hers. She could feel his fear and his courage. "Evan," she whispered, "if we continue, we'll be one." He nodded. "Then let's be one." Their lights joined. A wave of silver and gold energy burst from them, sweeping through the chamber. The watchers were thrown back, their forms fading like mist under sunlight. The temple stopped shaking. Silence returned. Lyra looked at him, her body still glowing softly. "You are bound to me now," she said. "You can never return to your world." Evan smiled. "I didn't come here to leave." Lyra stepped closer. Her hand rested over his heart, where the crystal still shone through his skin. "You were never meant to survive this," she whispered. He looked at her with steady eyes. "Maybe I was meant to change it." Her lips parted, but she said nothing. For the first time in centuries, she felt warmth that wasn't from her own light. The mist around them calmed, and the temple walls seemed to glow with peace. Outside, the sky cleared, revealing two distant suns. Evan and Lyra stood at the center of the ancient ruin, breathing together, bound not by curse but by choice. And far beyond the horizon, unseen by them both, The elders of her kind watched silently, realizing that the old law had finally been broken. When the light faded, the temple was silent. Dust hung in the air, glittering in the soft glow from Lyra's skin. Evan stood beside her, breathing hard, feeling his heartbeat echo inside his chest. It took him a moment to realize the echo wasn't just his own. It was hers too. Lyra touched her chest with trembling hands. She could feel his pulse beating under her own light. "It's done," she whispered. "The bond has completed." Evan looked down at his hands. Faint silver veins glowed beneath his skin, pulsing gently with each beat. "What does that mean?" he asked. "It means we are one," Lyra said softly. "Your life force has merged with mine. You will feel what I feel. You will see what I see." He tried to smile, though confusion filled his face. "So we're connected now?" Lyra looked at him with sadness and wonder. "More than that, you are bound to my essence. If I vanish, you will fade with me. This is what the curse truly does. It ties two souls until neither can walk alone." Evan stepped closer. "Then I guess I'm not walking alone anymore." Lyra wanted to answer, but the emotion in her throat stopped her. For the first time in centuries, she felt warmth that wasn't her own light. It was human warmth. It was alive, but the peace didn't last. The air outside the temple began to hum again. Strange lights moved across the silver plains. Dozens of ships descended from the mist, carrying the mark of the High Guardians. Lyra's eyes darkened. "They're coming for us," she said. "They will not stop this time." Evan looked through the cracked walls and saw the sky filled with glowing shapes. "Then we run." Lyra shook her head. "There's nowhere to run. This world belongs to them. The moment you stepped here, your fate was sealed." He placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we make our own fate." She looked at him in silence for a long moment. Then, with a quiet nod, she led him deeper into the ruins. They moved through tunnels of crystal that shimmered with soft blue light. The walls pulsed in rhythm with their joined heartbeat. As they walked, Evan noticed the carvings on the walls had changed. They no longer showed humans turning to light. They showed pairs, human and guardian standing together side by side, faces uncovered. "These are stories of people like us," he said. Lyra touched one carving gently. "They were erased from our history. The elders didn't want us to remember love that broke the law." Evan smiled faintly. "Looks like history found a way back." Suddenly, the tunnels trembled. A flash of light tore through the walls, sending shards flying. Lyra covered Evan with her body, shielding him from the blast. Her glow dimmed slightly from the effort. Evan held her arms. "You're hurt. I will heal," she said quietly. "But you must leave me." "I told you," he replied, his voice firm. "I'm not leaving you." The sound of approaching energy filled the air. Drones entered the tunnels, scanning for life. Their red lights swept across the walls. Evan grabbed a broken shard of crystal. It pulsed in his hand, reacting to his new bond. He pointed it at the first drone and willed it to fire. A burst of energy shot forward, destroying it instantly. Lyra's eyes widened. "You can use my power." He nodded. "Our power now." Together they fought through the tunnels, moving like one mind. Every time she raised her hand, he knew where to strike next. Every time he stumbled, she steadied him with her light. At last they reached the surface. The night sky was filled with silver fire from the descending ships. The wind blew the mist away, revealing endless plains of glowing dust. Lyra looked toward the horizon. "We can't fight them all," she said. Evan looked at her, his eyes steady. "Then we don't fight to win. We fight to be remembered." Lyra's heart ached at his words. No guardian had ever spoken like that. She reached for his hand. "You are not afraid?" He smiled softly. "I was afraid of dying alone. Not anymore." The ground began to shake as the first ship landed nearby. The wind roared, but neither of them moved. Lyra's light flared bright, wrapping around him like armor. He held her hand tighter. For the First time in the long history of the Guardians. A human and one of their own stood together under the twin suns, their hearts beating as one. The sky exploded with light, and the world would never be the same again. The ground shook under their feet as the first shockwave hit. Dust rose in thick clouds, and the air filled with light from descending ships. Evan and Lyra ran through the open plains, their linked energy lighting the path ahead. Each step they took left trails of silver fire in the dirt. Behind them, the sky tore open. Dozens of glowing drones spread out, searching. The voice of the High Guardians echoed across the land. Lyra of the Veil, surrender the human. The bond you created is forbidden. Lyra's breath came fast. Her glow flickered weakly. The bond had drained her strength. Evan could feel it too, the shared exhaustion pulling at his chest. But he didn't slow down. He held her hand tighter and kept running toward the distant cliffs where the ground met the storm clouds. They will follow until they find us, Lyra said. Then we need somewhere they can't reach, Evan replied. There is no such place, she whispered. Then we'll make one. They reached a broken ridge that overlooked a valley of glowing water. The valley pulsed with soft light, reflecting the twin suns above. Lyra looked down at it, her eyes wide with fear and memory. That's the Heart Sea, she said. It's alive. It connects every Guardian temple. If we enter it, the elders will feel us instantly. Evan looked at her calmly. If it connects everything, it must also connect to freedom. Lyra stared at him in disbelief. You would walk into the heart of their power? He smiled faintly. I walked into your curse. I think I can handle a little more light. Before she could stop him, he jumped down into the valley. The glowing water rose around his boots like liquid glass. It didn't burn. It hummed softly, alive with energy. Lyra followed him, the bond pulling her forward even when she hesitated. The moment her feet touched the Heart Sea, the surface rippled like a heartbeat. The light brightened, swirling around them. The bond between them pulsed, merging with the sea. Evan could see flashes of her memories. The day she was cursed, the faces of the elders, the endless centuries of silence. Lyra gasped. You can see inside me. He nodded. And I can feel what you feel. Her eyes filled with tears of light. Then you know how much it hurt. I do, he said softly. And I'll never let you feel that alone again. Above them, the ships fired. Beams of energy crashed into the valley, but the Heart Sea rose like a shield, deflecting the attacks. The glowing water lifted higher, wrapping around them like a cocoon. Lyra realized what was happening. It's protecting us. The bond changed it. Evan closed his eyes. Then let's give it something to protect. He placed his hand on the surface. The bond's energy surged outward, linking with the sea. Waves of light shot through the water, carrying images of Lyra and Evan to every corner of the Guardian network. Across distant temples, other Guardians saw the vision, a human and one of their kind standing together without fear. Lyra's body shook as she felt the collective awareness of her people. They're watching us. They can see everything. Then let them see, Evan said. Let them see what love looks like. The light around them exploded into a column that reached the heavens. The clouds above split apart. The ships faltered, their energy systems failing as the Heart Sea disrupted their power. For a moment, everything stopped. The storm, the drones, even the hum of the world. When the light faded, Lyra and Evan stood in the center of the now calm valley. The ships above were gone, retreating into the sky. The ground beneath them glowed softly, peaceful for the first time in ages. Lyra looked at him, her expression full of wonder. You did it, you made them stop. Evan shook his head. We did it. Her light flickered gently as she smiled. No one has ever fought for a Guardian before. Not like this. He took her hand. Maybe no one ever had a reason to before you. The bond pulsed again, stronger now but no longer painful. The sea's glow began to fade, leaving them standing on solid ground. The storm clouds slowly parted, revealing a clear silver sky. Lyra looked toward the horizon. The elders will not give up. They will come again. Evan squeezed her hand. Then we'll be ready next time. For the first time since her curse began, Lyra felt hope. The silence inside her heart was gone. In its place was a steady human heartbeat, calm and sure. They walked side by side toward the rising light of the twin suns, their shadows long and joined. The world had changed, and so had they. The light of the twin suns touched the horizon as Evan and Lyra walked across the silver plains. The world around them felt quiet after the chaos. The air carried the sound of calm wind, and the glow on Lyra's skin faded into a gentle shimmer. Yet in her eyes there was still worry. She could feel the presence of the elders watching from beyond the sky. "They will come again," she said softly. "They cannot allow what we did." Evan looked at her. "Then they can try." "I won't run this time," Lyra smiled faintly. "You still don't understand what you've done. You didn't just break a law, Evan. You broke a chain that has held my people for centuries." He stopped and turned to her. Then maybe it was time for someone to break it. For a moment she said nothing. Her heart beat in rhythm with his. The bond between them glowed faintly with every breath they took. She could feel his thoughts as if they were her own. There was no fear in him, only a steady calm that made her chest ache with warmth. Ahead of them stood a massive tower of light rising from the ground. Lyra recognized it instantly, the beacon of judgment. The elders had summoned it. The final moment had come. "We cannot escape this," she said. "They will judge us both. If they destroy the bond, you will die." Evan looked at the tower. "Then we face them together." The ground opened beneath their feet and light lifted them into the air. In seconds they stood before the council of elders. Tall, glowing figures, their faces hidden behind veils of white fire. The air vibrated with their voices. "Lyra of the Veil," one said, "you were chosen to guard the balance between worlds, not to destroy it. You revealed your form to a human and forged a bond that cannot be undone. What do you have to say?" Lyra's voice was calm. "I have only this to say: I did not destroy balance. I reminded you what it means to feel." The elders stirred, their light flickering. Another voice spoke. "And you, human, why did you stay when you could have left?" Evan raised his head. "Because she wasn't a curse. She was a person. You taught her to fear love. I showed her it wasn't something to fear." The chamber grew silent. The elder's light dimmed as though his words touched something long buried even in them. One elder stepped forward. "You speak of love as if it can break laws." Evan met their gaze. "It doesn't break laws. It rewrites them." Lyra turned to him, her eyes wide. His voice was steady, but the bond inside her felt like a flame. The elders began to fade into silence again, communicating in light instead of sound. Then the central elder spoke. "The curse will end, but only through sacrifice. If the human gives up his life, the bond will dissolve and peace will return. If he refuses, both of you will be erased." Lyra's heart broke. She turned toward him. "You cannot do this. You have already given everything." He smiled softly. "You gave up centuries for love you were never allowed to have. Maybe it's my turn." Before she could stop him, he stepped forward. The light from the elders surrounded him. Lyra reached out, but the energy held her still. "Evan," she cried. "Please don't." He looked back at her, his voice gentle. "You asked if I would stay when you undressed your soul to me. I'm still giving the same answer." The chamber erupted with light so bright that even the elders stepped back. The energy surged through the bond, filling Lyra's body with warmth and pain. She felt him fading, his heartbeat slowing inside her. "No," she whispered. "Not again." She ran to him and caught his body before it fell. His skin shimmered with silver light, the same glow that once belonged only to her. The curse was breaking. The elders' voices echoed. "The bond is purified." The curse is lifted, the light faded. When the chamber cleared, the elders were gone. Only Lyra and Evan remained on the silver floor. He was still breathing, weak but alive. Lyra held him close. "You stayed," she whispered. His eyes opened slowly. "I told you I would," she smiled through her tears. The sky outside turned golden, the world reborn under new light. The curse that had chained generations of guardians was finally gone. Lyra looked at the horizon. "You changed everything, human." Evan smiled faintly. "No, we did." They stood together hand in hand beneath the twin suns. The air around them glowed softly, carrying the sound of a world learning to love again. And far above, the light of the elders dimmed quietly, as if even they had remembered what it meant to feel alive.